Hello and welcome to Bird's Nest Designs. My name is Denise Cox. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Canada, and today I am here to share with you this super sweet card created with the Sweetest Cherries stamp set and the fun Cherry Builder coordinating punch. These are available in the 2022 annual catalog as a bundle, so purchase them together and you save 10%, which is an awesome deal. And they're super cute. So let me show you how we're going to go ahead and make this card. This is one of the cards featured in my 2022 In Color Club this month, featuring Sweet Sorbet. So let's get started. We're going to start with a Balmy Blue card base, and I'm loving the combination of the Balmy Blue with this Sweet Sorbet. So super fun new colors to play with. Oops. So as I mentioned, we've just got the card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So we're going to go ahead and fold that with a bump to the inside. And then I always like to use my bone folder to ensure a nice crisp edge. I've got a piece 3 3/4 by 5 of the Sweet Sorbet that we're going to go ahead and attach right here in the center of the card. So to do that, I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal. Now I just put a refill in, so sometimes when you do that, you do just need to spin this little wheel on the front there to get the adhesive on it. And then when you're done, just flick like that, and then it'll stay where it needs to be, so the next time you don't have to spin that wheel again. Okay, so we're gonna just put that in the center. Okay, so a list of all of the materials I'm using today will be in the description of this video, as well as the measurements. So if you miss them where we're going, you can always catch them in the description. Okay, so that's on there. And then I've got a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of basic white, which I'm going to use for the inside of the card. So I always like to put a nice clean insert in to make your writing stand out. But before we attach it, I do want to make sure we decorate it, because that's really a fun little add-on. So I'm not going to go ahead and glue that until it's stamped, but we do have that piece here. And then we have a 3.5 by 4 3/4 piece, which we're going to do our front stamping on. And then of course I have a scrap piece of basic white that I'm going to use to create the cherries. All right, so first things first, I am going to use Sweet Sorbet, Granny Apple Green, and Early Espresso for the inks on this card. We're going to start with Sweet Sorbet, and we're going to use a blending brush. Now I watched a video the other day, and what a clever idea this is. So rather than get my blending brush directly into my ink pad, what I'm going to do is take a spare acrylic block, and I'm going to put that in my ink pad, give it a little bit of pressure, pull it off, and now it's got lots of ink on it. And I'm going to use that ink to use on my blending brush. So to start with, we'll use our 3.5 by 4 3/4 piece. And in a circular motion, I'm going to get some of this ink onto my brush. And if you've watched my videos before, you'll know I don't like to start right on the page. I like to start off the page here, get some of that off, and then move over here. And we're just going to go in a motion like this and just get kind of a circular spot like that. And there is some nice pretty blending. And then if you notice on the inside of the card when I was showing that, we have a little bit of the blending here as well. So while we've got our brush out, let's go ahead and just do a little bit of the blending in the bottom right corner here. Okay. Now if you wanted more ink, you'd simply get more ink off of your block, but we have more than enough for the image I was looking for here, so we're going to go with that. I'll just put this block away, and when you're done with this, it's just going to wipe off with some water and a paper towel. Okay. Next thing I want to do is stamp my greetings. And the reason I want to start with the greetings is because I want to make sure that they're going to fit before I attach my cherries. So I'm going to use Early Espresso, and I've got the large sweet here, and I've got the birthday wishes. Now I like to build from the bottom up. So let's put this insert off to the side for a moment. We're going to stamp birthday wishes first, right down here. Okay, and then we'll top it with sweet. So sweet birthday wishes. I just love this bundle. I think it is absolutely adorable. And we're gonna stamp that however we want to fit it right here. Voila, I love it. Such a nice font, easy to read, nice different sizes. So sweet birthday wishes. And then on the inside of the card, I'm going to put friend. So I wanted to show you a little trick with photopolymer. When you remove it from your stamp set, you want to lay it on your work surface flat and just let it lay there, and then put your block to it. That way it stays the way it was intended and it's not going to get curled or curved when you pick it up and try and put it on. So again, using Early Espresso, let's stamp friend right here on the inside of the card. Some people like to make sure their sentiments are smack dab in the center on the inside, but I like to switch it up a bit and kind of give it some character. So this time we're going to put the friend down here. All right. So now what we're going to do is stamp some cherries. So I'm going to set this aside as well as our front and our card base are all off to the side. And now I've got this scrap piece of basic white, and I'm going to use my cherry builder punch. Now what I find sometimes it's very difficult to stamp the images and get them lined up perfectly in here without using a bunch of tips and tricks and tools. And what I found when I was creating these cards is that these images, it's very simple to punch first and then stamp, which is not usually the way I do things, but it worked really well with this set. So I'm going to go ahead and punch out one. So we want to make sure we keep the cherry in the leaves, and then here's the stem. And then I'm going to punch out another. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. So I've got the 2 cherries and I've got 4 leaves, which we're only going to need 2. And then we've got the stems. I will tell you that when it comes to the stems, it's much easier to stamp and then punch. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring in my Sweet Sorbet again. And this time I've got the cherry stamp already mounted on my acrylic block. You'll notice how red it is. That's because I've stamped it multiple times. I've already had a blast creating cards with the Sweetest Cherries. And any ink pad with a pink or red tone in it is definitely going to stay in your photopolymer, but don't worry, it doesn't change the way it stamps. It's still going to be perfectly fine. And it gives it a little bit of character and shows that it's been well loved. So before I stamp, I always like to put a colored piece of paper behind when I'm stamping onto a white piece like this, because I want to make sure I'm able to easily get that lined up. So I'm going to just ink this up. And then because it's photopolymer, it's very easy to line up, and with that dark paper, it just makes it that much easier. Oops. Except I wasn't supposed to go down at, it wasn't supposed to drop down, but there's 2 sides to every piece of paper, so there's no need to worry. And I'm just going to drop that down onto there. And we've got a perfectly stamped cherry. So there's number 1. And then for number 2, and there we go. Hopefully that one, perfect. So it's a little off to the side, but it's all good. If we wanted to, we can always flip. And I always tell my stampers that there's 2 sides to every piece of paper for a reason. And give it a try and use whichever one you like better. So we'll give that a try, see what happens. Perfect. I like that one better, so we'll go with that. So we've got our 2 cherries. Set that aside for a moment. And then I'm going to bring in the Granny Apple Green. And we're going to use the leaf stamp. And we're going to need 2, not that guy. We're going to need 2 of these leaves. And we're going to do the same thing. So I'm just inking it up in the green. Put it over top here. Voila. And as you can imagine, this is a lot simpler than trying to line it up into that punch. So there's those pieces. Now for the stems, as I mentioned, I am going to stamp and then punch because I was finding it a little difficult to stamp on these. But you know what? Let's give it a whirl before we do that, because you just never know. Maybe today will be a different story. So again, I've got my early espresso. And we're just gonna ink. The problem is, I think that the paper is very narrow, so it doesn't stick. Yeah, see, I don't like that. So let's forget that. We're going to take our ink, our paper, and being mindful of the way the stem is situated on there. So it's going to be like this. We're going to just stamp that twice wherever it'll fit on our paper. Okay. And then we can just take our punch upside down and line that up inside. And punch that out. So there's one stem. And whew, there's the other. Okay. So there's my little trick for the cherry builder punch, is to, for the most part, you can stamp or punch and then stamp, but I would strongly suggest that stamping the stems and then punching is a little simpler. Okay, now we'll bring this piece back in. We can go ahead, now that we're happy with the front of the card, and we can attach that straight onto the Sweet Sorbet cardstock. And again, I'm using my Stampin' Seal, and I'm giving that little flick at the end to make sure it stays on the wheel. I'll just go ahead and attach that there, like so. And now we're going to build our cherries using Stampin' Dimensionals and a little bit of multi-purpose glue. So first thing I want to do is attach the stems to the cherries. So a little bit of multi-purpose glue at the very tip of the stem, and then we can place it right here in the center of the cherry. We'll do the same thing over here. Perfect. Okay, so we've got our cherries built. And then what I want to do is put these onto the card. So wherever you want to put them, my trick is to make sure that however you situate them, the stems are going to meet up. I'm going to actually see if I can slide that one over. Might be a little too dry already. It's okay. All right, so that's how I'm going to want these cherries to be. Kind of like, yeah, that's cute like that. So now, taking some Stampin' Dimensionals, we're going to place them on the back of the cherries. I would suggest 2 on the back. And there's no need to put any adhesive on this stem at this point. So we're just going to stick that under here, like so. And then on this one, we're only going to need 1 dimensional on this side because this is going to overlap onto that one. So it's already going to be raised up, and 1 adhesive is more than enough to keep these cherries in place. So we'll go ahead and attach that like that. My stems still match up, even though they're not at the top, it's still matching up, and that's going to be fine. Because what we're going to do is put our leaves on. Now the leaves, we're also going to attach a Stampin' Dimensional to the back. And then we'll tuck one of these leaves just like that. So that dimensional that I just put on there is not only holding the leaf in place, but it's also holding down that stem. So that's why I suggested not putting any adhesive. It's a lot simpler than trying to get a thin little line on that. So another dimensional on this leaf, and then we'll have that one in here as well, just like that. And if you want to, just a little dab of glue right there where they meet, where the stem is going to sit. How cute is that? So the finishing touch for the front of the card is going to just be to add a single rhinestone. If I can get this opened. So So we're just going to add a single rhinestone just for a little bit of sparkle and a little bit of elegance on our card. And I'm going to choose one of the medium-sized ones, and I'm just going to pop it right there. Okay, so this is my Take a Pick tool. I love it. It's so great for picking up embellishments and putting them where you want them, along with a million other things that you could do with the Take a Pick tool. Okay, so there's the front of the card. Now let's go back to the inside of the card. I'm going to remove my friend stamp, just set it off to the side here. And then I'm going to use this cherry here that looks like it's got a bite taken out of it. So we're going to use that one, along with the full cherry, to create this image here. First thing we're going to do is stamp a full cherry using, let's get that out of the way, using the Sweet Sorbet. And we're going to have that kind of here. We can put it on an angle. We can do whatever we want. This is just for fun. This is just to give the inside of the card, make it a little extra special. We can remove our cardstock now. Now I'm going to ink the other cherry here. And you'll see that this is going to fit quite nicely up there like that. So you can see how they're meant to fit together like that. Then we'll take our stem and we're going to ink that up. And we'll pop that on here. And then we'll match this one up so that they're touching at some point, just like that. And our leaves. And the leaves can go wherever you want them to go. You can just have one, which I'm happy with. I think that looks really, really cute. So I'm going to leave it like that. Set these ink pads off to the side. And all we're left to do is attach that to the inside of the card. Right here. Nice and centered on our Balmy Blue cardstock. And we have a beautiful inside to our card. So this is the first of my Sweet Cherries series for my In Color Club. If you like this video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I'd love to read them. And stay tuned for my next 2 videos coming with more cards featuring the Sweet Cherries. Thanks everybody for watching. If you've seen anything here tonight that you'd like to purchase and add to your stamping stash, please visit my store. You can find that through createwithbirdsnest.ca. All the links for all of the products used will be in the video description, and you can just copy and paste them into your browser and start shopping. So thanks everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Happy stamping.